Well, this week, San Francisco is celebrating the 30th anniversary of the first women to join the city's fire department. And recently, I went into San Francisco and spent a day with Lieutenant Sheila Hunter, one of the original 7 known as Feinstein's finest. Station 33, San Francisco. Please do not put that on TV. Small house, big heart, and a lot of laughs.
No, look how serious he got all of a sudden. No,
Sheila Hunter is the LT, one of the first women in the San Francisco Fire Department.
The thing about it is...
You have to think about that now, or maybe not now, but at some point.
I mean, you know, I think back on it. I came in, we're gonna have to stop, we have a call, let's go. Come on, let's go.
And just like that,
Code 3 near fainting. 242 Broad.
we're off. From interview to Engine 33 to helping a man in need.
242 Broad, number 8.
Copy, thank you. Thanks, Mark.
1987, 2 academies, including 7 women. They were known as Feinstein's finest. Dianne Feinstein was mayor at the time. Sheila Hunter was one of the first 7 and the only African-American woman in the department at the time. She says shifts were long and lonely, and there were times, she says, some men clearly wanted her out.
For someone to tell me that to my face, outside of the one memorable time where the group of guys said, "We don't think you should be here. We don't think you can do the job." And, you know, along those lines, so it's like, okay, I'll show you.
30 years later, and a lieutenant, Hunter says she continuously has to prove herself. What's different, though, is she has a lot more support.
She's done well. We worked in many fires together, and she's a real good person to work for.
She kind of led the way for all of the women in this department and many other departments around the country. And that's something that we're very proud of.
Whether you're a bum on the street or, you know, one of the rich people in this town, she treats you the same way, and that's what she's taught me. So it's an honor and a pleasure to work for her.
What would Sheila today tell Sheila 30 years ago? A piece of advice.
A piece of advice. One is to be yourself. Not, I'm a really shy person. I would probably have pursued advancement a little more aggressively than what I did.
Lieutenant Hunter's husband and their daughter, Christina, are all in the department. The mother-daughter combo recently worked the same shift at 33, a special moment. But so too is this photo. 272 uniformed women now working in the San Francisco Fire Department.
When we had the picture was taken at Chrissy Field, and when we had the turnout, at one point I stopped and I just looked around and took it all in and just thought, wow, I was instrumental in paving the way for all the women that we see out here. And it was touching.
And her advice to young women who want to become a firefighter? There will be highs, there will be lows, but in the end, to go for it. Always strive to attain your goal. And Lieutenant Hunter also wanted to kind of tip her cap to Sarah Coe, also one of the original women. She's been at Station 1 for the majority of her career, 20 to 30 calls a day. Says she doesn't get a lot of the recognition that she does, so she wanted to make a point to recognize Sarah and the other women.
Engine 1 downtown is the busiest firehouse in the nation, believe it or not. So her daughter's a firefighter. Is that what Mom wanted for her daughter? You know, her mom kind of debated, wasn't the biggest fan, I think, at first. And the reason for that is because of the concerns among firefighters and cancer and what's burning these days in buildings and when they go in. And so it was really a health concern.
So not the discrimination aspect? Not
the discrimination aspect. She's very proud of her, and she is today. But that was on the back of her mind is just the health and safety. And sometimes when she knows her daughter's working at a different firehouse and she hears a call, she admits she turns up the radio a little bit just to make sure all is good right there. So thank you, Lieutenant Hunter. Joanne Hayes-White, the chief of San Francisco Fire, sworn in by Mayor Gavin Newsom in 2004. Making San Francisco the largest urban fire department in the world with the female fire chief. She joins us live this morning. And Chief, right off the bat, I just want to say I know you laid to rest one of your own yesterday, and from all of us here at K2VU, our condolences about the loss of Battalion Chief Terry Smurdell. Our thoughts have been with you over the past week.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Mike.
Chief, I want to ask, when you went into the department, not long after Lieutenant Hunter, what do you see right now as the primary difference for women who join today compared to when you entered?
I'd say the primary difference is the volume, the numbers. We're really proud to be one of the most, if not the #1, most diverse department in the country. We have 272 women working in a workforce of 1,716, about 16%. And we're really proud of that number. And I can tell you from 1990, when I entered, to now, it is very much value added to have a blended team of people responding to a variety of emergencies. Pretty much a universal language for when there's a fire, but on a medical call, if we have someone that can relate to the patient, either by their looks or by their language, we have a lot of bilingual firefighters, it really helps calm a difficult situation.
Chief, a lot of us have followed your career from the early days. I remember at one point you were stationed at a firehouse near where I lived. And did you ever think that you, when you started off as a Provy at Station 11, would eventually be the chief?
Not in those days, Sal, but I'm really proud as a native San Franciscan to be representing our city as a fire chief. It's an honor and a privilege. I'm proud of all the men and women that I work with who put their lives on the line daily to make this city safe, protecting the residents and the property here in San Francisco.
Chief, I've talked to other women who were firsts in their field, first in reporting or first in tech, and they say in those early days when they knew they were being discriminated against, they never thought to sue or go public on social media with their story, which is what we are seeing these days. Back then, was it very much keeping it quiet, keeping it inside, maybe talking to other females?
You know, I would say that whenever you're new at something or paving the way, and we're honoring 5 women who were real great role models to start out in the fire department in 1987, change is always going to be difficult, particularly in this case, a male-dominated field. So I think once we as women firefighters proved that we were very serious about the occupation, that we wanted to contribute equally to the team, it is a dangerous profession, we began to be really taken seriously. And over time, and like I said, going from a workforce of 0 women now to about 272, it has changed. It has changed. But there are days, certainly, that I still feel like I'm operating in a fishbowl, that everyone's looking, because it's still unusual to have a female fire chief. But in the San Francisco Fire Department, I'm very proud. There's been occasions where I've seen an all-female crew. It's not nearly as unusual to see a woman out in the workforce, which is, I think, our best advertising tool. We have a lot of people. You plant the seed to a young student going into a classroom in a uniform, and if someone sees someone that they can relate to, they think maybe that's an occupation that I could consider someday, which is, when I grew up in the 60s and 70s, I never dreamed of a career in the fire service because there were no female role models.
Chief, I was telling some people, in the newsroom, outside the newsroom on the street, about the story that I was doing. I was out at Station 33. And they kept saying, well, when? And I said 1987, and they were surprised that they're like, 87? That just seems late. Why do you think it was so late? They kept saying, oh, I thought it would have been in the 70s or even earlier than that. But why do you put your finger on it? Why 1987? Why so late?
Well, you're right in that a lot of people think that does seem a little bit late. We were about a decade behind the SFPD. I think one of the biggest contributing factors was the 24-hour shift. You're actually living together for a 24-hour period. You're sharing meals. You're sharing, in the day, you were sharing restrooms and changing facilities in a common dormitory. That has since changed. There was a bond that passed in 1992 that all the fire stations accommodations were made for women and for men. So I think a lot of it did have to do with the 24-hour shift at that time.
So I did read a story. You were down by Ocean Beach and you saw an engine rolling, and it was the whole crew was all women.
I did, and it made me really proud. I don't think you see that anywhere, not just in the country, anywhere in the world. And it's not necessarily the norm still here, but there are days where you'll have a full female crew, and they're ready to go, they're ready to work, and like I said, put their lives on the line every day. And to have this rich blend in our city makes perfect sense, because we have a diverse workforce that reflects the community that we're serving.
All right, Chief, thank you for your time. We appreciate it, and have a great celebration later this week.
Thank you. We're really looking forward to Saturday night at the Minute Gallery. I still think there's tickets available if anyone wants to attend and come by and pay tribute to the first 5 females that joined in 1987. Thanks for covering this.
All right. Thank you, Chief.